Hello, and welcome to Wellness Wednesday with 3W. Wellness Wednesday is sponsored by 3W Medical for Women, a nonprofit medical clinic offering free of charge or low-cost reproductive health services to women in the Seattle area, regardless of income or insurance status. 3W does not profit off of the reproductive health choices women make. The information shared in this podcast is the opinion of the speaker or speakers. Medical information is not intended as individual medical consultation, but for general education only. Always consult your own health professional for personalized advice regarding medical decisions. And if you're in the Seattle area, consider making an appointment to consult with us. I'm Helen Nguyen, CEO and co-founder of 3W Medical for Women and the host of today's podcast. Hi there, Wellness Wednesday listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in to our podcast. I was just touching base with our staff over here, and I cannot believe we've been doing it for 4 years now. It just kind of blows my mind that we've been doing it for that long. It feels just like yesterday that I started doing this, but it's been so much fun. I love being able to come into the studio and just talk to the experts that we've been able to cross paths with. And I'm so glad that I get to sit in the seat of like receiving information first versus you looking to me to be an expert about something, because that would be a hot mess. So today we have on our Zoom call two beautiful ladies, Laurisa and Amy. It's an organization called Girls Who Know. And I found out about this organization through Haley, this beautiful young lady that works with us, who is Amy's daughter. Yes. And yes, and it's been such a joy. I'm going to brag about Haley for a little bit. It's been such a joy to have Haley join our team. She fits right in, and you did a really good job, Mom. Good job. Please pass that on to me.
They're powerful words. Thank you. We all need to hear those from people sometimes.
She's a gem. She's just rock star. Laurisa, you are the founder of Girls Who Know. So I would love for you to just introduce yourself. Where are you guys from? Where are you guys based? And just what is your mission? Girls Who Know. What do you guys do?
Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah. So I'm Laurisa Paul. I am the founder. I'm a registered nurse. I think that my life experience is equally as significant as the fact that I'm a nurse. Just my own, like growing up, not understanding my body was really profound for me, and led me to like a young adult life where I had a lot of body image issues and struggled and didn't actually know how inspiring anything was in my body. It wasn't until later young adulthood that I discovered anything about my cycle and what was happening during the rest of the month. And then my mind was blown at how inspiring that was and why I never knew. And then I also had babies really young, and I was completely uninformed. I didn't know anything about what might be helpful to know before you have a baby. I just assumed that you go to the hospital and people take great care of you and you come out better because you have a baby. Just learned through my own birth experiences. I have 5 kids, by the way. And so I have a lot of different birth experiences. We started out really medicalized, and the more I learned, the more I trusted my own body and made decisions differently. Yeah. And so I have a lot of different birth experiences that have taught me kind of the main message that I can trust my body and that it works. And that if we just knew, if girls knew when they were young, if I was taught, that I would have been able to make different decisions and have better outcomes in the beginning and not have to have trauma along the way as I was learning. So a couple years ago, around the same time you founded this clinic, I was deeply inspired to start something for girls called Girls Who Know, like you said. And it's an organization that's here to inspire them about their bodies and inform them about what their bodies actually do, and like kind of teaching them to trust who they are and trust their intuition. And we'll talk about more about what we do, but that was in 2021. I started out just as a soul ranger here, like, okay, I know this need is here, and I know I can feel it because I have so much passion. I was just like full of passion, and I just started teaching classes to girls. And I like tried every avenue I could. I did some classes in my own home, and then I just started leading these online groups because it was during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Have continued and haven't stopped. And it's grown and blossomed. And we've brought on beautiful people like Amy and a handful of other mentors who are now doing work in their own realms. And that's where it is right now.
I love the grassroots, organic, I need to do something and
Yeah.
I'm going to take ownership and do it kind of
Yeah.
mentality. I love that. Amy, how did you get involved in the organization?
Because Laurisa's inspiring. So, and we crossed
Yeah.
paths. But
Yeah.
I also come from a nursing background and big, huge chunk of time, over 25 years of being a childbirth educator. So that's the angle that I have mostly interfaced with women's health. From that perspective, you know, people who are about to become parents, speaking into like, I wish I had learned. I had so many dads actually say to me, or about to be dads say, you know, why don't we learn any of this in high school? Like, I just didn't know any of this.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing, I mean, you guys know this, when you're dealing with you're about to become a parent, we could help parents so much if they didn't have to like understand, do a quick learning and catch up of basic anatomy and physiology, and we could really talk about like the transition to becoming a parent. Like that would be, or navigating healthcare in a new way if they haven't really had to navigate healthcare system in the US very much up until that time. So it's almost this handicap that like people are just basically like, where's the uterus? You know, like there's just this woeful lack of knowledge. So, and I'm usually am teaching well-educated, having babies later in life people. So it's not like I'm not describing my typical client isn't a teen mom or something. So it revealed to me over the years like this vast lack of basic knowledge that we, you know, my peers throughout this time of doing this work have about our bodies, and that's both men and women. As I was working through some of that and always butting up against it in the childbirth world, Laurisa and I were both part of an organization that's more of a childbirth organization, and on a webinar together. And there was some little chit chat going on. And she said in the chat, something about working with girls and inspiring them to understand their bodies and love and I was like, who are you and what are you doing? Because I could just see the stream, right? And how I needed to get upstream, like the things I was dealing with are down here. And so many of the solutions are going to come. There's definitely solutions that are going to happen in the moments of birth and all of that, and our systems around that. But in these upstream places, so foundational. So I was super eager and kind of pestery, like, hey, can I learn about what you're doing? And can I watch you do it? And can you send me videos and all the things? And then at a certain point, Laurisa was ready to like bring on a little more of a team around her. And so it's been such an honor and privilege and delight to be part of that. So for the last like 2 years or something.
That's so cool. Yeah. That's so beautiful. Again, organically coming together and saying like, this is my thing. So Laurisa, just getting back to you, can you tell us more about the organization, the mission, the goal? I love it so much already because it aligns beautifully with what we're trying to do, right? And Amy says it so much more eloquently than I can, but looking upstream, looking at like why do we have women in our 20s and 30s? And we just had a quick side conversation before I started recording, but why are we having women in their late 20s and 30s still being very illiterate about their bodies, how it works, how it functions, what happens to it on a weekly basis, monthly basis, all of that stuff. And then they're stuck because you Google this stuff and it's just like, might as well just drink from a hose, kind of situation. So I feel like you guys have built something that really get to the heart of it and not dumb it down, but empowering, right? Yeah. So tell me more about that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to. The main overarching goal is inspiring girls to love who they are and trust their bodies so that, they can make decisions for their own selves. And so that's the foundation of everything we do is inspiring girls to love who they are and trust their bodies and know their bodies. And we do that through multiple ways. Like everything we teach is just to that end. We're hoping that that's the end, that, that they actually tune into who they are and trust who they are. So we do it through multiple avenues, but a lot of it is body respect, like helping them understand that their body's actually speaking to them. And their body's telling them things that matter.
Right.
Practicing tuning into that. So we do mindfulness practices and talk about intuition and things that help like that be solid, that you can respect and trust your body. And then we do something called self-compassion, which is like this compassion, this well of compassion that all girls have for all of their friends and the people they love, like tuning into that for themselves, learning how to treat themselves like they would treat their best friends. And that's like the foundation of what we do. And then we add into it all these bullet points that you and I know are so powerful, like helping them understand their cycling bodies and what that even means and looks like. And did they even know there was a cycle going on? Most of them don't, right?
Yeah.
Like they might know the word menstrual cycle, maybe, but most of them just know they have a period.
Yeah.
And not necessarily, they might not even know it has anything to do with an egg, or they might, but it's like, severe lack of knowledge.
Right.
And so the goal is like this, inspiring them to love and trust their bodies, but we do it through showing them what their menstrual cycle is and teaching them about the different parts of the month. And did you know that your egg is actually alive and well inside of you while you're not even aware?
Yeah.
But you can be, and this is how you can be. And so, I mean, we go into all the things that are age appropriate. Like I haven't even said it, but we have multiple ages of classes. So the first one's 10 to 13-year-old girls. With them, it's like basic introduction. Like you have a cervix. You have something inside of you called a cervix. Did you know that? Of course they don't.
Yeah.
Well, really magical. And it does different things at different times of the month. So it's little basic like drops for them. And then our next age group is 14 to 17. And those girls get more in depth. Like your body is doing something by now. And let's actually take what you know and incorporate it into us helping you understand what it all means. Yeah. And then we also have a grown girls class that helps 18 plus girls navigate like real life, mostly childbirth stuff. I mean, they also get menstrual cycle and things, but knowing what they're going to have to make decisions about and what they might want to know way before that time of life ever comes.
Yeah.
And so it's like childbirth, how it works, and menstrual cycle and female anatomy. Everybody gets female anatomy because we all know how important that is. And then consent and learning what it means to make an informed decision and what your rights are in your health.
Yeah. How do people find you? Your website is beautiful, by the way. My staff and I were looking at it just before I came on, and we were like, this is so fun. This is so good.
So good.
It looks so good. Like clean, like to the point. There's no fluff. So how do people usually find you? Because I know, Laurisa, you said like you started doing this like in your house and then during COVID online.
Literally.
And usually how people find us is like people come, have a great experience and then tell their girlfriends about it. I wonder if it's kind of the same vibe. And then how many girls have you been able to reach and empower and teach and get in front of? How do you know when your program has been effective? Do they come back and they tell you? Like what?
So many good questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Which one should we do first? Yeah. How do people find us?
How do you guys?
This is such valuable information, and the people that know. There's like no question that girls need this. And so it's valuable, and people are willing to pay us instructors to spend time with their girls, helping them love who they are and understand themselves. So that's beautiful. That the work is valuable. We know that. Man, how girls find us is just a myriad of ways. Podcasting like this is great for getting the word out. I think that word of mouth is definitely a factor. When women have, or whoever signs their girl up, they very often give feedback like, there's nowhere else like this, like this. I'm so relieved that I found this course. And so they're telling their friends, and their friends are coming and registering their girls. But there's a third avenue that I want Amy to talk about today. And that's, we have a huge goal to get into schools, into high schools.
Yeah.
Because we can make a bigger outreach there than anywhere. I mean, that's just the fact. The numbers are so much bigger. When Amy goes and spends a day in a high school, she reaches far more girls than I would have in one class. And so we have the goal of having both of these both these avenues of,
Mhm.
yes, I'm running these online classes and they continue to grow. And as people hear about us, they spread the word, but we also really want to get funding to go into high schools so that we can do that consistently. So girls and boys have a chance to have a different narrative.
I
Yeah,
was
go
gonna
ahead,
say it's
Amy.
kind of like there's 2 containers right now. So if people were to go to the Girls Who Know website, they would see a listing of classes and at different times of day and there's a group of mentors that, you could see, and it's a 4-week series of 1.5-hour classes
Mhm.
that move through the topics that Larissa said. So,
Mhm.
and it's a very sweet, it's not a sterile Zoom webinar or something. It's a very sweet community that forms, and Larissa is incredibly natural at doing this, and then she has been working with us to help us see the ways to model or to follow her lead in that. But it is precious, it's sacred. You see girls like open up to this awareness of their body is amazing, and then their little risks that they take to like come to share what they heard their body say in the 1 minute of mindfulness practice,
Mm,
or
mm.
doing a little thank my body for these things, or how they thought about what we talked about last week, or in the week that followed. So those things are amazing. Yeah, people would sign up and pay for a 4-week series, and there's good communication with the parent or caregiver, and in terms of resources, or even a heads up, here's how we're talking about things, here's the language we're using, these are the anatomical terms we're going to talk about,
Mhm.
so that there can just be nice conversations with parents and things between. So, and there are moms who talk about feeling like they now have this like connection with their daughter, like that they can
Yeah.
talk about things differently, that have been really, that maybe wasn't like the initial exact goal, but like such a beautiful fruit of that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then I think the other container, or I don't know if it's exactly a container, but it's another goal or a path we're pursuing, is like Larissa said, getting into schools. And that is something I've been doing more of, sort of by just chance. Like, I literally sent emails to some health teachers in my city, and 2 said nothing or no. And 1 was like, sure, come on in. And then over the last, yeah, couple years in different semesters, I've been able to kind of like formulate a curriculum that is really fun and landing really well. And I think it's confirming the problem that we're describing, like that, this woeful lack of knowledge,
Mhm.
but it's also showing this hunger. Like, the students want to know this stuff. I was in an anatomy and physiology class. So this is more like juniors, 90-minute block period. So I spoke for 90 minutes. And at that time, I didn't even have like a cute activity to like break it up. And they were very attentive the entire time.
Mm.
And I asked for some feedback, like, can I share some of the things that they said after the class with you? Like the
Yeah.
feedback from, and this is again, boys and girls.
Yeah.
But in terms of this like woeful lack of knowledge, like I had a girl write, I always get confused on what the vagina is, but now I know it's the inside and the vulva is on the outside. So there we are. We're
Yes. Yeah.
17 and we've got that. And I make a point of saying, hey, you guys are well educated. I just want to make sure you've got these terms right, because this is one that gets really wrongly said,
Mhm. Yes.
without shame, but just like, you can know this. Like, you
These
can
are
speak
not
intelligently.
bad words.
Right.
These should not be taboo words.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing, I think, what you're touching on there, Helen. Like, so we have this lack of knowledge, but then the knowledge that anybody does have, the vast majority of that knowledge is totally covered over with negative messaging. So
Yes.
specifically for female bodies,
Mhm.
they might know they have a period, but they know it's dirty, it's gross, it's annoying, and
Yeah.
don't talk about it in front of your dad. Or I don't know, there
Yes.
could be some like, who knows, all kinds of stuff,
Yeah.
which only breeds like
Shame.
burdensome shame. Right,
Fear.
exactly. Fear, totally.
Yeah.
And frustration, because they also know they're having pain, or they're missing school, and it just feels like, again, this connection, like we can't expect anybody to be able to navigate their own health if they don't literally know that the vagina is on the inside. Like, if we just aren't even we don't even know what words mean, then how are we receiving informed consent? when we go in for a
Right.
a checkup or have a
Mhm.
problem. How do we even describe the problem? How do we know what opening the discharge we're seeing is coming from if we don't even know we have 3 openings?
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
And so that's how we talk about it. I have another person who wrote the question was, "What was interesting or important that you felt like from this 90 minutes?" And
Mhm.
somebody wrote, "I didn't know we both had urethras. That's kinda cool." Like, so just the fact that we had male and female body parts up on the screen, and I did talk about, like, look at the urethras are kinda like one's long in the male and short in the female, and I talked about that's why little girls are taught to wipe from the front to the back, and just, like, in case somebody hasn't heard that,
Yeah.
like, this is important.
Mm.
And somebody else said, "I learned about periods and how my body works. I learned about both male and female parts that help with pregnancy, and I think it's very important to know these things at a younger age." So there were multiple people who were like, "I wanted to know this," or "I didn't know that," or saying, "This was good for me to know." Like, so for a
Yeah.
high schooler saying that at the end of a
I love
90-minute
that.
where
Yes.
So
I'm like
good.
doing so much stuff, and they're like, "Thank you." This
Right.
was so the hunger is really there. Limited number of teachers that I have worked with are eager and offer to share, like, with other, teachers. So I have a health teacher who's now like, "Hey, can you come into this other health teacher's class?" And anatomy and physiology lady who is like, "Hey, my kids go to this high school. Let me see if I can talk to there." So
Mhm.
that I think we see the hunger for both. The anatomy and physiology class is a year-long class, and these teachers are awesome, these 2 women, and they don't cover the reproductive system at all. It's not like they don't have time or it's not in their curriculum.
Where did we
I
come
know.
So,
from? Where did we
yeah,
come
we're
out
doing
of? Like, what the
yeah,
heck?
yeah, yeah.
Wild to
So
me.
we are so that's it's just a vacuous hole that
Yeah.
is not being filled. And
Yeah.
okay, so here's another one. This was written by a boy, a young man. "Cycles affect your moods." He gave me bullet points. "Cycles affect your moods. Both men and women have all the hormones. Periods are healthy." Periods are healthy. We've got a teenage boy coming out
Yeah.
of class going, "Periods are
Rad.
healthy."
Yes.
Both men and women have a pelvis. Okay, good. Let's get that checked off.
Yes.
And then women are born with all their eggs. So it just,
So good.
So good.
yeah, it makes me so excited to think about that guy going home from school. And that's something. If
What
anybody asked, what did he learn today?
what a good husband he's gonna be one day.
Right.
Yeah.
I tell him that. I say, "Look, you're going to be better boyfriends and better
Yes.
husbands and better dads if you
Yes.
understand the basics of
Yes.
your
Well,
body and female bodies."
Yeah.
one of the most powerful feedback I had from a boy in a school once was that he wrote, "This helps me have a lot more respect for my mom."
Ah,
And I'm
gold
like,
star.
right? Like, sons respecting their moms more is coming out of this too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All the relationships are improved when
That's
everybody knows.
it makes me, like, somewhat emotional sometimes when we get this kind of feedback from young people, 'cause I get to go and speak to youth groups or churches or just anywhere and everywhere, right? We kinda insert
Yes.
ourselves into these types of conversations because 'cause we're, like, the go-to people that can say the word vagina without blushing in front of a group of people,
Yes.
and the amount of questions that these young women are asking, like, "What are fallopian tubes?" And we're talking about, like, not even talking about our bodies. It just kind of naturally comes into the
Yeah.
conversation because it's all connected. Surprise, surprise, right? Um, and just like, "What are fallopian tubes?" Or "What are ovaries?" Or "I have eggs." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you do, and it's cool. Did you know that you have, like, 2,000,000 of it? You're born with 2,000,000 eggs on average." Like, all those things are inside of you. Like, isn't that like,
Yes.
these are, like, superpower types of things that we're just naturally born with, and we don't know anything
Mm.
about it. And I've done talks very similar to you, not from a medical point of view, but just, like, just enough to be like, "If
Yeah.
you guys wanna know more, sign up for our FEM courses," which is our fertility education and medical management courses. Talk to my medical staff because they're much more knowledgeable about it. But I'm able to talk about it just enough to be like, say the word vagina enough to make it like, "Oh, we can talk about this." But
Yes.
but I've talked about it with teens, and then I've talked about it with college age young people, young
Yes.
adults,
Isn't
just
that
just this year.
stunning?
Just this
Mhm.
year, I was like, "Okay, guys, we're gonna have trivia." Let's learn about our bodies. And, 24, 25, 26-year-olds are
Yeah.
just like, oh my gosh, okay, let's talk about our bodies. And
Mhm.
the amount of people that are like, I did not know this information about my body. I did not know that happened once a month. I thought I did, but whoa,
Yeah.
right? Or I always talk about my infertility really, really openly, and my diagnosis of endo and all of that stuff. And there was a young woman that asked in the crowd, are you telling me that you could have a period, very regular period, and not have a baby, like can't have kids? And I'm like, yeah, I am one of those people. I ovulate. I have a very regular period. I can't have children. I can't have biological children. And why are we not having conversations like this
Yeah.
openly, right? Why is that a shameful thing to bring up? It was
Well,
very,
I feel like we have good news because we've seen over and over again that people are ready to talk about it. Like,
yes.
that's the kind of an old story that it's got some kind of stigma. I understand where it's coming from, but none of the girls we engage with are like that. Like
Yeah.
they're ready, they're eager, they're like open,
Yeah.
want to know. And so that's the good news, the girls who know, like we have something new we're working with. This is a new age. If we can speak differently, like we have a goal that every girl that brushes up against one of us leaves inspired.
Mm.
So like that's what we're thinking about. How can they leave feeling inspired? And so they don't even hear anything about past stigmas, or like they may not have to have that same narrative in their head because they come and we're just talking about it. Like it's always been a thing. Like we've always just loved our periods,
Yeah.
and maybe they don't know the past big heaviness that our grandmothers had to navigate. And maybe they do, but I just think that it's so cool, this idea that we can change the narrative. Like it doesn't have to be this thing we're fighting against. We can just start with really young girls and do it differently.
Yeah.
And they like have a different experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So how many classes have you guys taught since your conception? And how many girls have gone through the classes?
Gosh, that was such a good question. I don't have the number right here in front of me. I know that girls in 19 or 20 states have been through our classes. So
Okay.
we're hopeful that it will, continue to grow and reach everywhere. I don't remember. Amy was able to see what 200 students
Yeah,
last
in 1
month.
week, like last
Yeah.
month, just because it was 7 periods of 30 to 36 kids,
Yeah.
like I came for 3 days and hit all of these classes. That was anatomy and physiology at one suburban high school,
That's
you know?
amazing.
Yeah, and that was 200 boys and girls, obviously,
Yeah.
not it's girls, but I mean, again, all the better. So
Yeah.
Our
the
classes are very small intentionally because
Mhm.
like Amy said, we want them to have an experience. Like it's not just about learning the anatomy because that by itself means nothing.
Right.
Okay, like
It's the
they can label.
relationship.
Yeah, right. They can label their fallopian tubes. That's great. It's a step, but what does it matter if they don't understand like that being a girl is inspiring and this is why and like that modeling of that comes from us in these little Zoom classes takes a small group. So they're less than 10 girls. Every time we run one of these series, it's less than 10 girls. And I guess why I'm saying that is like numbers will come, like we'll continue to build. It continues to be more and more girls, but it's intentionally made small so that girls can actually experience something within themselves.
Yeah.
And it's not just about knowledge, even though that's part of it. Like information is one of our bullet points, and so is inspiration. So they have to go together. Like I can't just have them being like, rah, rah, you're so cool, but there's nothing behind it. Like, why? But you also don't want just the information because that's boring and they don't know why it applies. So anyway, together it's beautiful and they come away inspired. And like Amy just read you all those testimonials. I have so many from these girls about how they feel about themselves after just 4 weeks of being around a different narrative and understanding themselves through that process. It's really powerful.
How do you include parents in this conversation?
Yeah, that's such an important question that that I've been playing around with for years. What's the
Okay.
best way? Because in the beginning, I actually did invite parents into the circle, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's something really magical about girls just being in a girls' circle that
Okay.
helps them feel like I'm going to just learn about me. And it's just magic. And so I've like tried to figure out, well, we have to have the parents involved. That's a bigger piece than whatever I'm going to say.
Mm. Mhm.
The parents of these girls are far more influential than
Mhm.
any of us will ever be. And so we're still working with it. Right now what we do is, like Amy said, the caregivers get week by week, like, help with engaging with your girl. So here's what we went over, and here's how you could possibly like continue inspiring
Reiterate
her.
it. Yeah, at home.
Yeah. And a lot of it is about what they can do to work on their own body appreciation.
Yeah.
Because like that's what I know is going to be the most impactful for
Yeah.
these girls, if their own mothers and their own fathers and whoever's taking care of them like actually does their own work to
Mm.
recognize how inspiring they are, then it will just bleed into their kids. And so a lot of the things, like, we do give them the language, and this is what we talked about in the menstrual cycle this week, but it's also, here's what you might be able to do with your own body
Mm.
for the healing, whatever needs to happen for you.
Yeah, it's about changing our own language and communication when young people are around. Just being like
Yes,
intentional about not being like,
yes,
oh gosh, here comes the
yes,
curse once a
yes,
month, or here comes Mother Nature. She's going to ruin
yes.
our vacation, right? It's just like
Yeah.
changing.
That's totally what we do.
Yeah,
Like,
changing
talk to
that.
the parents about that. Like, you could speak about yourself in this kind of way. You could, yeah, because it's things they don't even think about that are
Yeah.
impacting their daughters.
Yeah.
And it goes for childbirth too, because that's such a huge passion of both Amy and me, and
Yeah.
is preparing girls and women to be able to make choices for themselves through this experience, whatever those choices are, like that
Yeah.
they get to make them.
Yeah.
And how we talk about childbirth in our culture is
Oh
really,
gosh.
I don't even know the word, right? It's heinous, it's terrible,
Yeah.
and girls from a very young age grow up afraid of childbirth because
Yes.
how could you not be? That's all you hear. And so we are, as mentors, we're really committed to speaking about that in a very different way too. Like, so
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
little bit shocking, honestly, to these girls to hear one of us talk about childbirth, because they're like, they just like, they don't have any context because they haven't heard anyone talk about how amazing and wonderful and life-changing it is.
Well, it's
Mhm.
very reduced down to like very animalistic livestock type of approach. Like you go in, you do this, you come out of it. And it's just like
Mhm.
so much more in between. It's like it's a whole
Yeah.
spiritual experience that you
Loss.
miss out
Yeah.
on if you don't
Mhm.
intentionally walk into it
Mhm.
and embrace it, right? There's so much more to that. And we can do
Mhm.
another podcast about that.
Yes,
Um,
totally.
but totally on a side note, like my son, like because of what I do and all of that, my
Mhm.
son's 4. So when I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, I'm gonna have my period, he runs and grabs
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
tampon for me now.
Yay.
And
That's
That's
awesome.
so
I
good.
think some people are like, that's weird. But I just think that's his way of taking care of me and not being
Mhm.
like weirded out by it, or
Yep.
because one day I hope that he's going to take care of another woman like that. And like,
Yeah.
we're going to get to the point
I'm
where he's like, let's get mommy some flowers and some chocolates and leave her alone to watch Pride and Prejudice, right? That's going to be the cherry on the top. But now he goes, mommy, I got you a
Mhm.
tampon and I'm
Mhm.
helping. I don't know. It starts. I feel like I'm starting this conversation young
Mhm.
with him, but it's good. It's not something
Yeah,
like
So good.
gross or weird that mommy
I agree.
has.
And the
And the fact that you
narrative,
even have to clarify that is like, "Oh, no, I'm,
Yeah.
sorry that you do, but I get it, and it is we affirm
Yeah.
it is beautiful and good what you're doing, what he's
yeah,
doing."
the narrative is like, with these little kids, it's just a blank slate. Like, whatever you
Yeah.
create the narrative is what they see it as. So I'm grateful that you're doing that. Like,
Mhm.
it needs to be a part of our everyday lingo, where we are in our cycles and how
Yeah.
that's affecting how we're showing up that day.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
and little kids seeing us modeling that kind of care for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm caring for myself in this way because here's where I am in my cycle.
So your classes are in person, from what Amy is telling us, is in the schools, which is, I think, is a brilliant idea, because really schools sex education really needs a revamp in so many
Yeah.
ways. But also these classes that we can take virtually, and I'm assuming you would take groups of girls from Washington State, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, girls from anywhere in the US can join.
Okay.
And that's one of my favorite parts about the virtual space, is that these girls who don't know each other, they're so brave. They show up on this Zoom call that they're
Yeah.
not even what's going to be. And we work really hard at just making them like take a deep breath
Yeah.
and be like, this is going to be a good space. This
Yeah.
is they feel super brave there. They get to meet girls from all over the country, and they get really close to each other, because we have these conversations, and then they don't see each other for a week, but then they come back and they're like, oh, same girls. Okay, I know this place. Like, this is a place
Yeah.
I belong.
Yeah.
And then we don't see each other for a week, and they come back and it's the same girls, and they never would cross paths otherwise, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely girls from Washington are
Awesome.
welcome.
Because you guys are in
And
California. You guys are in LA.
Yeah. Well, no,
I'm not
we're
in
all
LA.
over.
I
Oh,
live in Texas.
Larisa, you're in Texas, my
Yeah.
favorite.
And we have a mentor in Virginia, and we have someone in Utah and someone in Idaho currently. Yeah, we're just all spread out, which is the beautiful thing about 2025. Like,
Yes.
we are doing this work totally together, living in
Yeah.
different states.
Yeah.
It's so
Well,
awesome.
well, it brings in your experiences living in your community and all of that. It makes the situation much more rich and deep than
Yeah.
than
Yeah, we all
come.
have very different
Yeah.
different reasons why we're here too.
Yeah.
Like, very different things that led us to the same conclusion, that girls need to understand who they are.
A lot.
Just another, like, logistically on that, like,
Yeah.
it would be totally fine to, like, again, on the website, classes are listed that are where there's a mentor, like, ready to be there. But if there was a group, if there was a group from a school or a youth group or a Girl Scout troop or whatever that wanted to, like, hey, let's do we have 6 girls, let's, customize the time or whatever, we can accommodate that. So
I feel like we could talk about this forever.
I
Because
know,
there's
I
just so
agree.
many like
We're just
little
getting started.
little
Yeah.
rabbit holes. Because I want to talk to Amy about her experience as, with delivery and labor, because that's a whole topic in itself. I'm so grateful that an organization like yours exists, because it feels less lonely, because sometimes for our organization, we're getting knee deep into it and we're seeing the fruit of it. And sometimes it feels very lonely, because the concept of going upstream and not just crisis intervention all the time is it's not sexy, right? Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
sometimes it's just like, oh, ROI is going to be 10 years.
Yes.
Right.
And
Yes.
isn't that worth
Yes.
the time and effort
Yes.
now? But sometimes
Gosh.
we have amazing donors and supporters, but rightly so. They want to see how their dollars are being spent, and what's the quick return of investment, right? And sometimes I have to go, look, we are investing in these young people now, because when they're 20 and 25, and and because of our efforts and because of your generosity, they have the power to make decisions about their bodies that I didn't, that you didn't. And that's the return of investment here.
Yep.
And it's not quick fix. It's about healing the culture on something that's very, very broken and ingrained of shame and fear. All of that takes time and money
Yes.
and layers and expertise, like you ladies, to go, let's pull back that layer and say, that's a myth, that's a lie, you're amazing. You don't need to ever feel that way about yourself or about your body. And that's sometimes hard to communicate in our industry sometimes, because what's the magic pill? What's the quick fix? What's
How
something
can
I
we
can
see this?
what's something I can insert into my body so I never have a period again? And it's
Right.
like, that's not good healthcare. That's just
right.
it's just not good healthcare. And so I'm grateful that these types of conversations are having all over the nation. We're this tiny thing out in Seattle, Washington, but it's starting to I don't know. There's movement. There's goodness that's coming out of it. And
We feel the same.
yeah.
It's awesome to be like, see someone else doing the work and
Yeah.
knowing that the return on investment is years down the road. It really is.
Yeah.
But all of us have been in moments where we have like beautiful, sacred knowing that this girl's life is going to be different, even if she doesn't know.
Yeah.
Because like she might not know what, but you know, because you the path she would have been on if she didn't encounter this information, and now she will not because her mind has been opened.
Yeah.
And like it is cool to have other people who know that also, because we do.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like it's the gift that keeps on giving, right? It's like,
yes,
there's sort of a snowball effect, right?
Yeah.
Of like, if we're talking about 10 to 13-year-olds who begin to see their bodies totally differently, and then they get into high school and they are getting that information, or maybe even boys and girls are getting that information. Now you've got people picking career paths, people who know that there's such thing as a doula or a midwife that they didn't even know existed. We've got people, who just have a foundation of like, bodies work and are cool most of the time, so, and that's like, again, that momentum, that shift of even how they will just engage the world is, let alone if they become a doctor or a, professional or start something, but people do that as well. I mean, I just think about my daughter, right? Her interaction with your clinic, and then here it goes, like in a very short amount of time, very impacted in a very significant way, and in a trajectory shifting way. So
because everyone that girl interacts with gets a little bit of a different interaction because of how she knows herself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
For the rest of forever.
Yeah. Haley was just sharing on a podcast at our year-end podcast that we are going to roll out in December. She was just like, I'm the go-to girl in my friend circle to talk about everything periods and everything reproductive health. And that's what she's known for. She's like, I'm so proud to be this expert about not only my own body, but helping another dear friend about her body. And we can start doing this together and being healthy together and embracing things that are like, just good. I'm
Haley's
so glad.
young. Haley's so young, right?
I
She
know.
has so many years.
Yeah.
So many years of influence of just having those conversations. And that's what we're doing.
Yes.
Like conversations, one-on-one often, or one-on 10, or one-on 30 in the classroom. But that's a lot of conversations over a lifetime.
Yeah.
So it matters, and your work matters too, and we see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For sure.
Well, I'm so grateful for what you have started. I hope it just explodes. I hope you guys are in 50 states. If you guys would love to collaborate, we're here. We're doing it in our own way, but there's so much overlap. And if we could be of support in any way, please let us know, because the field is ripe. Yeah, the field is ripe for us to step into this.
This is the cool thing about, you're saying expanding and growing. We have women who are ready to take this into schools in every single state. Like we have women reach out all the time that say, how can I get out in my communities? This is such important work.
Yeah.
And so our thing is just learning how we can get funding for that, so that we can pay these women.
Yes.
Like we need a grant so that we can pay women everywhere, and then we'll just have a massive workforce, and it won't be long once we can all do it in our own spaces.
Beautiful. Well, I would love to have you both on for different conversations. I would love to just pick your brains about like public health issues as well. We'll park that for another time, but just to know more about your organization has been so inspiring. Thank you so much for what you both do.
And send girls, any girls that you care about, send them our way. We'll take such great care of them.
Yes. Yeah, I hear it. I totally hear it. Well, if you're ever out in Seattle, come and hang out with us, and we can talk about vaginas.
I've been in Seattle, so maybe Amy and I will have to do that.
Yes, please come out. Yeah, come out and see your daughter.
I know. Right? Yeah.
Well, thank you again
Thank you so much, Helen.
For what you do. I hope people get inspired, and like Mama 5 guys kicking ass. So there you go. There you go. Thank you so much for a conversation. For more information about 3W, please visit our website at 3wmedical.org. That's the number 3, the letter W, medical.org. From there, you can learn more information about the services we provide, book an appointment, or make a donation if you'd like to support our mission. You can also call our office at 206-588-0311. That's 206-588-0311. If you like this episode, please share it with others and consider subscribing on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, stay healthy and be well.